Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So we'll start now with our prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So welcome everyone for today's Science of Self-Realization topic session. Today we will be discussing on a very interesting topic known as reincarnation and beyond. Because all of us have this material body right now, but as spirit souls, what is our journey of life? So all these aspects are very nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita, and which is presented by Srila Prabhupada in the book Science of Self-Realization very nicely. So we are covering that particular topic today. This is chapter 1, topic number 4. So we'll go to the presentation straight away. So this is the presentation, as you can see. So this presentation is titled Reincarnation and Beyond. And we offer our prayers and respects to Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON, the worldwide Hare Krishna movement. So the first aspect which we need to understand is whether after death everything is finished. This is the common understanding which most of the philosophers, thinkers, scientists, or even educated people have. After that, everything is finished. Later on, we'll read one more wonderful chapter in this book, Science of Self-Realization, wherein it is nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada when Prabhupada visits to Russia first time in 1971. Prabhupada meets one professor of Indology in Russia. His name is Professor Kotowski. So in the course of the conversation, the professor is very straightforwardly admitting, actually there is nothing after life. This life what we are living is everything, and after that everything is over. This is what he comes to a conclusion. So whether after this body is over, everything is finished. So this is not a very sane proposal. So sometimes somebody may say, okay, maybe in your religion, it may be that you may not after death, if something is there, you may tell. But there are so many other religions in the world which they say that after death everything is over. So like this, the misunderstanding is very prevalent all over the world. So whereas Prabhupada is presenting this particular aspect of misunderstanding which people have, whether after death everything is finished, in a very scientific manner. He gives the example of how whether whatever religion you belong to, a child will become a boy, will grow. So you belong to Christian religion. It doesn't mean that in Christian religion, children or rather a child will not grow into a boy. Similarly, only in Hindu religion, child will grow as a boy. No. So Prabhupada said, This is a universal principle, the scientific principle, that the laws of nature are working like this. Everyone will grow from childhood to boyhood. So the laws of nature are applicable to everyone. Whatever faith you are following, whatever thing you feel that this is what I'm supposed to be, thinking about life, you may have a misunderstanding, misconception. You believe this, you believe that, whatever, it doesn't matter. The laws of nature, what is functioning, is equally applicable to everybody. There is one God, and the God's law, nature's law, is all functioning on all of us. Right? And we are all under the control of that supreme law of God. So if we are thinking that we are free, or we can think whatever way we want and something else will happen after our life, after our death, and then that is our foolishness. Right? So we have to understand that the life after death is a fact, and our journey of life is going to continue, which we'll touch upon this more as we move forward in the presentation. So this statement that after death everything is finished is a false statement. We cannot agree with this. At least from the Vedic perspective, it is not a valid statement. It's a foolish statement. Okay. Actually speaking, as we were just now discussing, all of us are completely bound by the laws, different laws. So for example, we are born in a particular situation, or we are born in a particular circumstance, and we have to live that life. We are conditioned. That's what it means to say. We are forced to grow old. We discussed this in the previous sessions also, that we don't want disease, but we are forced to experience diseases. We don't want to die, but we are forced to die. We don't want to grow old, but we are forced to grow old. This is our situation right now. So we have to understand that nobody is free. This fact is explained in the Bhagavad Gita very nicely, that starting from Brahma, Lord Brahma, who is known as the secondary creator, down to the insignificant ant in this material world, everybody is bound by the laws of nature. Nobody is bereft of the laws. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita says, all living entities are strictly under the modes of nature. Just like in the prison house, the criminals are bound by chains and other shackles. Likewise, in the material world, all of us are bound by the three modes of nature. The mode of goodness, known as Sattva Guna, the mode of passion, known as Rajoguna, and the mode of ignorance, known as Tamoguna. So it's not a question of belief, right? It's like you may not believe that there is an establishment called government. I don't care for the government, but the government does exist, and government is governing the whole state, whole country. So whether we believe or not, somebody may say, oh, after death, there's nothing. And nobody, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. This is not a question of belief, right? So independently, whatever you would like to think, you may think, but the laws of nature are governing us always. If you're not obeying the laws of nature, we will be punishable, right? So, and the whole point is, the laws of nature are completely governing our life. The laws of nature means the material nature, which is the energy of Krishna. It is completely governing us every moment. There's a statement in the Bhagavad Gita which says, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Which means that the Lord says that the different laws and the different ways things are established are completely controlling every aspect of the material nature. And it is very difficult to overcome the stringent laws of nature. All of us are completely bound by the laws of nature. So this is the situation presently what we are living in. So, but what is happening right now is that mostly people are in a fool's paradise. Why Prabhupada makes this statement? In fact, whatever now I'm presenting is completely from the chapter known as Reincarnation and Beyond, from the Science of Self-Realization. So Prabhupada mentions specifically, people are in a fool's paradise. Fool means he is mistaking something else to be something else. Something which is not true, he is thinking that is fact. That is the nature of the fool. So right now, what is our foolishness? Our foolishness is that we are taking this body to be everything. That is our foolishness, right? A very nice story Srila Prabhupada explains to us in this regard. Basically, in this material world, we have such great hope that we can go on living. And we are under the spell of this material nature, Maya. This particular word is used in the Bhagavad Gita. Right? That under the spell means just like a magician casts a spell on all the in his show of magic. Likewise, the Maya, the material energy of Krishna, is having a spell on all of us, and we have forgotten what is our aim in life. How this Maya energy is having a spell on us? By covering our actual understanding. That is called covering potency. And Maya has one more energy known as bewildering potency. And she's bewildering us every now and then. Oh, life is going very well. You can go on like this. This understanding. So basically, our existence right now is such that the material energy is constantly giving us sort of a thinking that everything is going very well, everything is very nice, wonderful, life is very blissful. But we don't know that we are under the complete control of the laws of nature, so much so that one of our acharyas, he explains that how we are under the control of Maya or material energy. Mayar boshe jocho beshe kochu habudabu bhag. He gives the example, just like the straw in the waves of the ocean or the river, right? They're all, maybe they're moving in a particular current. Sometimes they are going in one particular stream of water. Suddenly there's an obstacle and everything gets scattered. So our life is like that. We are going on in our life. Oh, this is my family. This is my community. These are my friends. Like this, life is going on. Suddenly, life course changes when somebody passes away in that particular family or in that particular community of where we are living. So after that, that person who has passed away, where he goes, nobody knows. So this particular understanding is given that under the material nature laws, we are being carried away by her waves. And we don't know where we are going because we have no control. The fact. This is the hard reality of life, that we don't know what is going to happen to our life after we leave this body. So the advice given in the Bhagavad Gita is that we need to surrender to Krishna. See that, so that our actual nature as spirit soul is spirit soul's nature is awakened, and we go to our actual destination, that is going back to spiritual world. Otherwise, you are being carried away by Maya. You may be a very big prime minister or anything, any big position you may have in this material world. But as soon as Maya will say, please vacate your place, please vacate your post and go, then immediately you have to leave that position. Right? So this is what is happening. Karmana daiva netrena. Next life, what is going to happen? Nobody knows. So the story goes on like this, that one person in a village, he thought, oh, now that I have to die one day, what I will do is that because I have done so many sinful activities, I will try to avoid death. And I will see that when Yamaraj comes, Yamaraj is the in charge of people who die in the material world who are sinful. So he is the superintendent of death. of the living entities in the material world. He'll punish them and he will give them next body. That is his role. So he was thinking, this villager was thinking, oh, I've done a lot of sinful activities. To avoid being caught by Yamaraj, what I will do is that I will smear my body with stool. Right? So he started doing that, and he thought, when I'm smear my body with a stool, then because it is smelling so badly, because generally morning we finish our business of going to the toilet and passing stool and then come out. Whereas this person thought, if I smear my body with a stool, Yamaraj will not come near me. He'll not touch me. But it's foolish understanding. This is a foolish way of protecting yourself. Because the laws of nature are such that whatever way you want to avoid death, death is going to certainly overcome us, as sure as death. Right? The example is given, just like if you have infected some sort of a disease or other some contamination, some virus, just like nowadays we see, somehow, somewhere, some infection has come to you, we have to experience that disease. Right? You may take all the precautions, but if you're infected with particular thing, then the likely chances that the disease will come is very much. So like that, we have come under the influence of material nature means we have to experience birth, death, old age, disease. This is the point. So it is foolish to just think that, oh, I'm not going to die, I'm going to live forever, nothing is going to happen to me. This is not a very sane understanding. So that's why it is mentioned that we are all in a fool's paradise. We have to come out of this foolish understanding. So the very wonderful example which the scriptures give us is that we have to understand that this body is like a shirt and a coat. Whereas the soul within the body is ever existing. The shirt and coat, Prabhupada gives a wonderful teaching in this chapter. He says, today we are wearing one white shirt, tomorrow I will wear some other color shirt. Does it mean that I have changed? No, I have not changed. I am the same person within the body, but I have changed the color of the dress what I am wearing. So this is the difference between the body and the soul. But right now what is happening is we are misidentifying ourselves with the body and forgetting that our actual identification is spirit soul. This is the problem. Right? Why the proposal that after death everything is finished is why? Because you are afraid that after death, oh, I may be punished. I am responsible for my actions. This is the fear which people have, or some class of people have. So that is the reason the Vedic scriptures, actually this understanding of body and soul existence and life after death is a very common understanding, at least in India. Most of the people know, even villagers know, even common people know about this principle, because this makes our life, this life very responsible. Otherwise, oh, there is no accountability of my life. What is going? There is no life after death. This makes a very irresponsible life. So this example of shirt and coat is given in the scriptures to make us understand that even though I go on taking bodies, even in this life, we have changed so many bodies from birth up to now. Where is that body which I had a childhood body? It is not there anymore. I got a new body now. Right, one more body I've got. After 10 years, this body will change. It's going to have, I'll grow much older. So like this, we are constantly changing bodies even now. So change of body doesn't mean I have changed my Atma is different. No, my Atma is the same. I'm changing my body. So this phenomena already is happening in our present life. This we have to understand. So like this, the scriptures tell us that there is life after death. It's a fact. It's not that after life, after death, everything is over. No, life and life after death and after again taking a birth is the way this material world is designed for us. It's like a imprisoned life continuing in different location or a different situation. That's what our situation right now. So it is a fact that our life journey is an eternal journey. It is going on life after life, and things are going to, which means our actions in this life is very important what we do. Right. So this is the beginning of education, which Krishna gives us in the Bhagavad Gita, that you are a spirit soul. And as spirit soul, you have taken a specific body. And this body is changing, ever changing. It is constantly changing. So this is the ABCD understanding of spiritual life. And when the body is finished, not that you are finished, no, you get one more body. The very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tatha dehantara prapti dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara. Right? Tatha dehantara prapti. Krishna says, just like in this body, you have gone through changes from boyhood to, from childhood to boyhood to youth and old age. Similarly, at the one point of time, there's a change of this body to one more body. Right? This is what Krishna explains as transmigration of soul, which we'll understand it later. So this so-called death means is a change of body. How it is happening, what is happening, it is a very mysterious thing. Even the greatest of the learned persons in this universe cannot understand this mystery. Whereas Krishna has revealed this mystery in the Bhagavad Gita. Because the soul, which is invisible to our eyes, it is so small. It is mentioned it is 1 by 10,000 of a tip of our hair. That is the size of the soul. Even the greatest microscope or the greatest, modern latest, any apparatus in the modern day context cannot identify the soul, because soul is not a matter. It is antimatter. It is spiritual. We cannot see with our blunt eyes. So what happens is that the soul with the subtle body, because what we see as a gross body, our eyes, ears, everything, hands, legs. Apart from this gross body, there is a subtle body consisting of mind, intelligence, and ego. So at the time of death, what happens is that this body, gross body, will live, and the soul with the subtle body is carried to one more next life. So this is nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita in one of the verses. I'll just we'll discuss on that. So this is the example Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. He says, like the air carries the aroma. Actually, even in present situation, there are so many subtle things happening, which if we study properly, that's what Krishna wants to point out in the Bhagavad Gita. Study the nature carefully, you'll understand how the phenomenon is happening. Just like the air carries the aroma, right? Without even touching the air, say aroma from a nice, beautiful flower garden, right? It just passes through us. Oh, we can just feel. Oh, it's from a nice, beautiful rose garden. I'm getting nice aroma. Likewise, Krishna mentions we carry different conceptions of life. The exact verse says like this. This is from the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Shariram yad avapnoti yad chap utkramatishvaraha grihitvaitani samyati vayur gandhan ivashayat. The translation reads, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. So this is the statement of Lord Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, verifying the fact, yes, there is life after death. And whatever conception of life you have in this life, what you have prepared yourself, that will make you to get one more life next. Which means, the conception of life means the mentality what you have developed. The mentality is based on the type of work you do, type of activities you do. So our activities in this present life will determine our next life. It is very scientific. In fact, there's a statement in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Yam yam vapi sparan bhavam. Whatever mentality you have at the time of death and quit your body, that type of life you're going to get definitely. This is the principle acting in this material world. These are all subtle laws. So which means, as human beings especially, we are supposed to educate ourselves with this understanding. Then what happens? Then we become very, very careful, very responsible in our actions. Then we'll try to seek out what is that I'm supposed to be doing in this human form of life. What is my duty? Right? All this we'll be discussing in the upcoming sessions, but it's just an introduction. That understanding of this knowledge will put the human being on a very responsible platform. On a platform wherein you start functioning in a way a human being should function. That's why one of our acharyas, by name Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Durlabham Manusham Janma. This human form is very rarely obtained. Why? Because even though it is adhruvam, it is temporary, it is arthadam, it is meaningful. Because in the human form of life, we can achieve the purpose for which we have got an imprisonment here. We can liberate ourselves from this imprisonment. Otherwise, there is no opportunity. That is the special significance. So our change of body and getting one more body in the next life is a fact. Right? You may believe or not believe, but these are scientific facts, established facts, as per the Vedic understanding. So the whole existence, our body itself, carefully analyze that we have so many aspects in our body. Prabhupada explains about the subtle body. Right? We are not simply the gross body, what you're thinking grossly. I'm having the different senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, hands, legs, and all these things. No. Behind this gross body, there is a subtle body. Right? Subtle body means Sukshma Sharira. The Sukshma Sharira has three aspects: mind, intelligence, and ego. Mind is that aspect of the subtle body which is constantly into having relations, emotions, relations. All is the aspect of this mind, right? And the intelligence is the direction giving sense, which is telling us, is making discrimination, what is right, what is wrong. This is the intelligence function. And ego is a sense of existence, sense of I am so. Right now, this sense of identity or I is misplaced. I am spirit soul is the actual identity. And as spirit soul, I am part and parcel of Krishna. This is the actual identity of the spirit soul. But right now, the identity is misplaced, and I'm thinking I am this body. Just like a person who is driving a car, if he thinks I am this car, that is misidentification. That's why right now our ego is called false ego. So this is something which is very much part of our existence. Subtle body is called Chitta Sharira. The subtle body is also known as Chitta Sharira. This Chitta Sharira is constantly, functioning. Chitta Sharira is having a lot of previous past experiences of our different lifetimes. And this Chitta Sharira will remind us through Paramatma, helps us to remind us, that some other desire I had, some other past life. Suddenly some desire comes up in our mind, in our understanding. How it has come up? Because Paramatma, Super Soul, reminds us about the experience or the desire which you had in some other lifetime. So all the different karmic influences and the different experiences we have gone through in previous lifetimes is all stored in the subtle body. Which means the active aspect of the subtle body is only, you can say, 5%. 95% of the subtle body, with regard to various experiences and various past understandings, is all hidden. That is the way the subtle body is existing. So the subtle body has to be purified. Right now, subtle body is having so many conceptions about how to enjoy this life, how to go on in the material world. Intelligence is giving you direction, how to acquire this thing for enjoying this life like this. and false ego or the identity, wrong identity is making you to work in a particular fashion. So like this, the subtle body is making you function and get entangled in the material world right now. So this, the whole aspect of Vedic teachings, Bhagavad Gita teaching, is how to purify this subtle body. Because above the subtle body is the fine element known as soul, which we are. The soul, actually, as Lord Krishna says, he gives a very wonderful protocol that Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya param manah, manasastu parabuddhi, which means above this gross senses, we have the subtle body, mind, intelligence, ego, and above this subtle body is the soul, pure consciousness. Actually, we are this soul, Atma, pure consciousness. This is the beginning understanding of spiritual life. That who are we? Actually, we are spirit soul. And spirit soul, the symptom of spirit soul is that it has consciousness. It's like the source of fire has heat and light emanating from it. Likewise, the soul has many wonderful energies. One of the energy is consciousness or awareness about ourselves. Just like a living body is conscious of whatever happening in that body. Right? If you touch somebody, you tell, oh, what do you want? Because you are aware of the things. You are constantly aware of the pains and pleasures of the body, what you're going through. The awareness, consciousness is one of the symptoms of soul. And actually, as spirit soul, we have pure consciousness that we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are servant of Krishna, which we have right now forgotten. And we have misidentified ourselves that I am this body. That is the problem. Okay, so this is the background understanding how the soul with the subtle body is carried away with the different conceptions of life from one life to another life, and we are continuously this change of bodies is going on in our journey of eternal life. So the Bhagavad Gita points out that the real consciousness of all the jivas or all the living entities is actually Krishna consciousness. This is the real ego. Real identity of every living entity is that he is Krishna conscious. But right now, the living entities have taken different shapes and forms. As trees, as birds, as insects, as animals, and differently they are embodied or imprisoned for that matter. So, in the human form of life, this understanding that I am imprisoned, I am supposed to come out of this imprisonment, and I have to reinstate in my original consciousness known as Krishna consciousness. This can be understood and we can endeavor in the direction. In other life forms, this is not possible. Whereas in the human form, it is very easily possible. So that's why it is mentioned, we should not waste our human form of life. Rather, we should not unnecessarily spend time in so many other things which will again entangle us or develop some other conceptions of life. The Vedas are so carefully giving us advice that don't waste even a single moment in your life, because anything other than endeavor to have a proper conception, real conception of your life and moving towards the goal of your life, that should be the purpose of life. Which means the understanding that I am spirit soul, subtle body is getting influenced by different things in the material world. We need to purify the spirit. We need to purify our subtle body. This puts us in the right paradigm, the right track of how to move forward in our life. What is the goal of life, right? So, the same 15th chapter, there's one more next statement Krishna makes. He gives us how should we be guided in our life. So this verse is known as Jnana Chakshusha verse. Chakshusha means the vision or the eyes. Our eyes should be guided by knowledge. Right now, we are ignorant. We don't know how things are happening. Whereas the Bhagavad Gita's understanding, the books of Vedic wisdom, gives us the direction, gives us the vision. So this verse reads like this: Utkramantam sitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. This is exactly what is required by all of us as human beings, that we are supposed to train ourselves with this knowledge of who we are. Why are we here? We are spirit souls. We are imprisoned now with different bodies, and we are supposed to disentangle ourselves from this imprisoned body. We are supposed to liberate ourselves. That is the purpose of life. And all our activities should be centered around this particular understanding. Our whole life mission should be going forward with this understanding. Anything else will only further entangle us, which means you don't have this goal and you're getting diverted. It is like, I'll give you a simple example. So you're starting from Delhi and you're supposed to reach Vrindavan. And in between, from Delhi to Vrindavan, there are so many diversions. If you are having a focused aim, goal, no, from Delhi I leave at this time and I have to reach Vrindavan, mostly it takes around 2.5, 3 hours. No, in between there is, like I come and there is Vallabhgarh, there is, some other place is there, Hodal is there, Palwal is there. You go on diverting yourself, you'll never reach your destination. That is what is happening presently with us. We are just getting distracted, diverted with so many material allurements, material things, and we think, oh, life, life means enjoying like this. Life means experiencing like this. So life after life, we are going on doing this. And while experiencing like this, we develop some more new desires. That is all stored in our subtle body. Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara. And Lord Krishna as Paramatma will keep reminding you, oh, you wanted to enjoy like this, no? It's like somebody may think, oh, this swimming in the water is so nice. So let me go on swimming. So Krishna will give you a life, next life, you become a fish. Because you want to swim. Or somebody may think flying is so wonderful, like birds. Okay, next life you become bird. Again, from bird, you need to go through a cycle of evolution, and then after many, many lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, you may get body of a human being again. So we are running a big risk if we don't follow the track or the path of our purpose of life, that is to liberate ourselves from this material world. If we don't liberate ourselves, then we are again in the cycle of samsara chakra. So it is a very important duty as human beings to understand that we are not supposed to simply go on like this in this material world, wanting to enjoy like this, wanting to gratify our senses like this. This is exactly the teaching which Bhagavad Gita gives us with regard to how to conduct our life, how to move forward in our life. Okay, so herein there's a nice concept which Bhagavad Gita gives us. It is known as transmigration of the soul. So our body, what we have now, will not last long. Say at one point of time, this body will we have to leave this body and get one more body, which means this body is not that simply everything. Within the body there is soul and there is a subtle body. So the subtle body of the mind, intelligence and ego, along with the soul, will take one more body. And what is the way, what is the principle of getting one more body? Based on the conception of life you have developed in this life, in this body, you will get one more body. Let us know here what Prabhupada says, every 30 seconds short audio about transmigration of the soul.
Transmigration of the soul means the gross body stops. The subtle body, just like this is very easy to understand, little brain is required. Just like when you sleep, your gross body is on the bed, but the subtle body takes you somewhere. So the transmigration of the soul takes place carried by the subtle body.
Yeah. So I think it is very clear. Transmigration of the soul, Dehantara, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, means that our subtle body with mind, intelligence and ego, and the different conceptions we have developed, this will be carried forward to one more body. And what type of body you are going to get? depends on your conception of life. Your activities decide what conception you have developed, what mentality you have developed. That is the principle working. So Krishna gives us a very wonderful understanding. Actually, this birth, death experience, what we are going through in this body, it is only change of our body. Death means you leave this body and take one more body. Birth means you get a new body, right? Death means you leave this body. Birth means you get one more new body, actually. But as spirit soul, my identity is what? I don't die. I don't take birth. There's a very wonderful verse in Bhagavad Gita giving this statement. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nityo shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. You see very clearly Lord Krishna is telling, na jayate na mriyate. There is no birth nor death for the spirit soul. And he's actually, what is the nature of spirit soul? Krishna explains in wonderful statement, Ajaha, Nityaha, Shashvataha, Puranaha. A spirit soul is unborn. He is eternal. He is ever existing. He is the primeval, means he's since when it is existing, nobody can trace the history. And final statement Krishna makes is, Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Now, he is not slain when the body is slain. So even though we leave this body, the spirit soul doesn't die. So the understanding that after death everything is finished is a wrong understanding. We continue to exist. We go on taking different bodies. This is what is happening right now. And we go on continuing to live in this material world like this. So somebody may ask, okay, after death, and thus everybody's soul going to be go to God. Generally, when we see of late, since the corona pandemic, we are hearing many news of people passing away and a lot of obituary in the newspaper and so many things. So generally people think, oh, after anybody dies, now we'll all go to God. Right? We'll go to Vaikuntha. This is the understanding people generally have. But this is not the actual fact. If you are qualified to go to God or Vaikuntha, you will go to God. If you are not qualified, then you will continue in this material world. Because Vaikuntha is beyond this material world. Now, last session we discussed 1/4 of this material creation and 3/4 of the spiritual creation. So material world is a prison house where we are continue to have different bodies, life after life. Spiritual world is an eternal liberated world where once you are free from all the contaminations, you will be liberated there. You'll go to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha world. So everybody's soul going to God is not a fact. It depends on the qualification of the soul. The soul is qualified. The soul have the necessary requirements to go to the soul to God. Then he will go to God. Otherwise, there's a statement in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna mentions, if you are not qualified, then you'll be in the material world only in the cycle of birth and death. Right? So we need to qualify ourselves to go to God. So as I mentioned to you, the different aspects of the material world. A person who is very sinful, he will be taken to hell. There are different descriptions of hell given in the scriptures, books of Vedic wisdom. Actually, during the time of death, if you are sinful, then what happens? You are supposed to be taken by the attendants or the constables of Yamaraj to the hell. There are many descriptions of hellish experiences in the scriptures given. Very horrible experiences. Every sinful activity you have done is accountable and you are going to be punished for that. And heaven is for those people who have done some punya or pious activities. And they enjoy for that punya what they have done. Say they have done some charity, they have done some good things for the public. So they go to heaven. And Bhagavad Gita says, you may go to heaven, but after finishing your pious credit, you have to again come back to material world. So Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that hell and heaven like this we are going on. Like how you can see sometimes there are big fairs, big, big arrangement of different things in a big fair, like will o' the wisp, a big wheel, the ferry wheel, how sometimes you are down and the wheel will take you all the way up and again you come down. Like this, our life is going on. Sometimes you go up to heaven or sometimes you go down to hell. Like this, sometimes you take good bodies, sometimes you take very abominable bodies. Krishna is telling like this, the samsara chakra is going on, life is going on like this. This is not the purpose of actually as a spirit soul, as human being, you're not supposed to go on like this. It's only causing constant suffering. There is no, and nobody wants the suffering. Dukhalaya shashvata. So come back to me, which is actually your eternal situation, spiritual world. This is the invitation, open invitation from Lord Krishna that you decide, you perform activities, create a mentality that will come back to me, spiritual world. Okay. So somebody may question, so how many births you have taken so far? So this is a question which scriptures mention that anadi karama phale padi bhava navajale. Millions of lives you have taken. How many we cannot estimate at this situation. The example is given how when you have fallen in the middle of a ocean, you start analyzing, oh, how did I fall down? When did I fall down? The situation is same with regard to asking this question. How many births I have taken so far? Many births, millions of births. Your karma is influencing you to take birth after birth, life after life. You have been continuing to take different bodies. So the point is, we have been taking different bodies and will continue to take different bodies. But when you get a human form of life, we need to understand we have gone through many millions of lifetimes of experience. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Bhagavad Gita says, even though you have gone through many millions of years of birth and death, but once you get a human form, it's a wonderful opportunity that you can surrender to Krishna and perform devotion and that way get liberated from this material world. Okay. So how to escape? It's a very nice, there are a lot of wonderful descriptions in Bhagavad Gita, but specifically I would like to point out to this verse, which is mentioned by Lord Krishna. How to come out of the samsara chakra? What is the way out? Now that I understood that I have been going through this samsara chakra, somehow, fortunately, I've got a human form of life now. Now, again, I don't want to degrade myself, or I don't want to upgrade also going to heaven, or in the material world only, I don't want to go on rotating. No, I want to come out of this cycle of birth and death. How to do that? Very wonderful prescription is given by Krishna. It says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti mameti so Arjuna. See here, very clearly Krishna is explaining about punarjanma, which means after giving up this body, you will not have one more janma. Krishna says, you will come to me, mameti Arjuna. How to do that? By just understanding or knowing the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance, his activities, and the knowledge what he is giving in Bhagavad Gita. This much if you do, understanding only, see, just understanding about Krishna, Krishna's various activities and his knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, you can be liberated. Such a wonderful opportunity, right? So this is the solution given in the Bhagavad Gita. It is a way out for us to come out of samsara chakra. Otherwise, samsara chakra will go on. One life as a human form, one life as an animal, one life as a bird, one life like this, go on. It's going on, right? So human form is an opportunity to come out of the samsara chakra. So how to perform this practically? It's called devotional service. And how to perform this practically is what the Hare Krishna movement ISKCON is teaching us. Very simple, 4 things which I told last time also I will try to repeat this time. The 4 things which is very practically possible by all of us to do is that every day we chant Hare Krishna. Right? Minimum number of rounds. Say you start with 1 round and slowly, gradually increase the number of rounds. Srila Prabhupada says you have to come to the level of chanting 16 rounds. Okay. So like this is the first recommendation, chanting Hare Krishna mantra every day, fixed number of rounds. Secondly, whatever you eat should be offered to Lord Krishna. This is the second recommendation which is given. Because what you eat and what you take inside will actually generate a sort of a mentality in you. If you are eating food which is not offered to Krishna, there's a statement in the Gita also, which says that eating food which is not offered to Krishna, you're eating sin. So if you develop sinful conception, sinful mentality, again you have to take birth again. But whereas if you eat food which is purified, that is called prasadam. When you do naivedya, bhoga of Lord Krishna and then take prasadam, it will purify your mentality. It not only purify mentality of this life, many lifetimes, previous lifetimes. That is the benefit of taking prasadam. So chanting Hare Krishna, every day taking prasadam, and every day spend at least 15-20 minutes to read Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is that scriptural understanding which is like a manual for us, authentic scripture, which is going to give us the actual path of what is the purpose of life, what I am supposed to be doing. Right? So reading Bhagavad Gita 15-20 minutes every day. And then thirdly, you worship Krishna with whatever way possible, best possible. Simple thing will be to have a small photo of Lord Krishna or a small deity of Krishna, and you do namaskar to him every day, offer some agarbatti, arati. It's called worship basically. So these are the recommendations which Krishna personally gives in Bhagavad Gita. Right? If you do this much every day, which will hardly, now whatever I recommended, if you even chant one round, 15-20 minutes of Gita reading and offering food to Krishna and everything, it will not take much time. And this Krishna is guaranteeing that he will definitely take us back to spiritual world, which is the purpose of life. Okay. So we're almost coming to the end of the presentation. So why should we follow Bhagavad Gita? Or why should we follow the scriptures? Why are they called authentic? A very nice example is given by Srila Prabhupada. It's like any gadget is made, any machine is made, it comes with a manual. Similarly, with the creation of this world, with the creation of all of us, Lord Krishna has given us the books of wisdom known as Vedas. And those Vedas are very vast, especially in this point of time, this Kali Yuga. The whole Vedic knowledge has been summarized and given to us in the form of Bhagavad Gita, a very small book containing 700 verses. And it's having all the essence of all the understanding. Just follow that, you get all the knowledge, all the understanding. Right? So it is authentic. Why? Because it has come from Lord Krishna himself. And it is not having any of the shortcomings, any of the defects which otherwise we see in the material world. Because it is coming from Krishna himself. The knowledge because Bhagavad Gita means Krishna has spoken the essence of the whole Vedic scriptures for us, for our understanding. That's why it is authentic. Right? So thank you very much, everybody, for the for attending the session now, and we'll open the platform for any questions, any clarifications, and comments. Yeah.